Interestingly enough, one of the most common, I don't know if I should say critiques or just comments that I get on this channel is that I'm too rigid in how I skateboard. And it's not untrue. I have trick planners and notes that I literally stick in my back pocket when I skateboard. I write out plans and I write out ideas and I write out not just tricks to try, but also straight up recipes to follow for a full session. And although I don't always stick to the notebook, in fact, I quite often don't stick to my plan, it begs the question, are those comments right? Am I too rigid in my skateboarding? I think it also really goes well right now with a lot of dialogue that I've been seeing in skateboarding, which is kind of this question of, is it a sport? Is it an art? Is it just a hobby? Is it just a toy? Is it life and meaning and all I care about? And I don't think that any of these directions is wrong. I mean, skateboarding is what we make of it. So I kind of wanted to jump in and chat and think about, why am I so rigid? Why am I so structured in my approach to skateboarding? Because certainly not everyone is as structured as I am. There's definitely a very strong narrative in skateboarding of, just have fun, just huck it, just, go out and enjoy. There's some pushback against skateboarding being a sport, that is not something that you should be training and pushing yourself for and hitting the gym up to do, but instead just going out in the streets and playing and enjoying and being creative. On the other hand, there are people who are like, well, I want to skate harder and faster and higher, and I know that athletic goals, becoming more athletic, becoming stronger, is going to help me do that. Or maybe they want that career in SLS. That's what they want. That's why they need skate parks that mimic the SLS stadiums so that they can become competition skaters. You have your skaters who only care about the art and the street part and the video and the enjoyment and the personal pushing in the streets. You have people who maybe want to push tech and get really into competition skating and crushing it at SLS. And there's a lot of overlap in those groups as well. And both of these ends of the spectrum are incredibly valid and awesome ways to skate. And so when I listen to these discourses and I hear people chat about it, I think about myself. Where am I? I am not skating at SLS levels and I'm not filming street parts. I'm just kind of enjoying this as a hobby. Like, to me, skateboarding, as though I'm like incredibly obsessed with it, at the end of the day, it is kind of just a love, a passion, and a hobby to me. But as I dive deep into it and I really think about it, I mean, if it's just a hobby, why can't I just walk outside and play a little game of skate? Why can't I just tinker around the park and jump off this thing and play on that and enjoy a little bit of flat ground in the corner? But when it comes to skateboarding, I am obsessed with planning, and it got me thinking. All of this discourse got me thinking, why? Why am I so obsessed with planning? And I think I figured it out. I've come down, I didn't journal about it or anything like that, but I did write notes and I really started thinking about it. What has got me so obsessed with finding perhaps the perfect skateboard, or finding a good warm-up, or figuring out good routines and good structures and good ways to go throughout my practice. And it's come down, I think, to 4 maybe main reasons. I guess the first 2 reasons are kind of the same. So first of all, I still very much feel like a beginner. Although I've been skating for about 3.5 years, coming up on 4 years in the middle of April, I've barely scratched the surface of all the tricks that you can learn. And that is just within the regular stance. I've barely scratched the surface of flat ground tricks that I can learn in regular. I have barely scratched the surface of park tricks and ledge tricks, transition tricks, bank tricks, pyramid tricks. The list goes on and on. Curb tricks. I've never done a slappy curb. A curb slappy? A slappy grind? There's just an endless amount of things that I can pursue and I can tinker with and I can play with. So I feel like I just have a lot to learn. And because there's so much to learn, I feel like I have a lot of FOMO. I fear that I won't be able to learn it all. There's just so much to play with. Obviously I could never learn it all, but I want to get as good as I can. Like, I want to push myself as far as I can and really dive deep into all the fun tricks that there are. And I have this fear of not being able to get them all. Not like a real fear, but this little sense of FOMO. Like, man, I really want to be able to nollie varial flip, or fakie varial heel flip to Casper like Mike Osterman does, which is just beautiful. I want to be able to grind and do hubbas and ledges and skate some transitions. There's so much to do in so little time to practice. I feel like that beginner plus FOMO mindset feels like I just have a lot to learn, and it makes me want to like make notes. Like, okay, well, let's try to work on these tricks for now. Like, when you go out, practice the pressure flip. That's actually how I learned the pressure flip, because I put it in this notebook. And once I was done with like my just play and like warming up and working on tricks that I'm trying to get consistent at, I looked at the bottom of my list and I had pressure flips. It's like, okay, we'll work on pressure flips today. And doing that, I've started landing my pressure flips. So it does work because I was consistently learning my pressure flips. So I have a bit of what I can only call a fast-paced brain. Like, thoughts come and go very quickly, especially with tricks. So if I don't make a list of a couple things I really want to put work into, I will try different tricks every single day, and then I will make like no progress on any of those tricks because I'm switching. And in the mid-session I'll be like, oh, well, what about nollie varial flip? And I'll try like 3 of those, and then I'll be like, well, maybe I should just do nollie pop shove-its instead and get those better, and then I'll do 4 of those, and then I'll think like, wait, but what if I just try this instead? Or maybe I should just work on my kickflips because I've been struggling with those. And I will just go all over the place. And because I skate by myself, like, there's no one to stop me, there's no one to chat with me, there's no one to like work on something together. It's just me in my head, and I will jump from trick to trick to trick to trick. So I started writing in the notebook and deciding what new tricks I wanted to focus on for the foreseeable future. And it helped. It really did. Let's see if I look in here. So yeah, the coconut wheelie was on this list, the Casper disaster, the pressure flip, and the impossible. And the impossible I never quite got to. Recently I really worked on the coconut wheelie, the Casper disaster, and the pressure flip. And I kind of got them all. And I think I wrote this a couple months ago, maybe in October. So it's January now. So maybe for 3 months I've been working on these 3 tricks, and I've made quite a bit of progress on all of them. And I'm actually now ready to rewrite my notes and choose a few new tricks to put on there instead. As rigid and structured as I might seem as a person, I mean, it's very hard to come across these videos as a 4D person because only so much can be conveyed to the video and only so much gets selected to go into the final edit as you kind of make stuff and create stories and tell things and explore tricks. It's hard to add all of the nuance and all the humanity into a video that exists. And that's why sometimes exploring and rambling and thinking about a topic like this, I thought might be fun for me. So sorry if it's not fun for you. But yeah, that's definitely the first thing. I have a fear of missing out. I will scramble around a session and like do absolutely everything and land absolutely nothing if I don't have just a couple notes, like just a couple tricks to make sure that I am practicing them consistently over a long period of time. Now the other reason is actually, so I guess there's mostly 2 reasons here. The other reason is actually a struggle with consistency. And it's for the same reason, because I will jump and jump and jump from trick to trick to trick. And being a freestyler, there are so many niches inside of flat ground. So you have truck tricks and rail tricks and finger flips and ollie tricks, and you have tail stop tricks, and you have rolling finger flips, rolling freestyle kick flips. Like, you have a lot of niches, and if you only skate for 40 minutes like I have been for the last couple years, there's no way you're going to hit all those. And sometimes consistency can become very difficult. So maybe this year I really decided I wanted to become more consistent with my tricks, even though you always want consistency, but I decided to stick to it, to be a little more structured in how I go about it. And I wrote down little example sessions that I could have. So I have an A session and a B session, and it's really simple, it's flexible, it just lists out the tricks I want to put a little bit of consistency work in on. So you have like footwork and shove-its and ollies and manuals, frontside and backside 180s, kick flips and heel flips, big spins, which I never do get to big spins. I have not big spun in a very long time, and I need to do that so that I don't completely lose that trick, because that's also part of the fear is not the right word, but man, like what if I lose my big spins if I don't consistently practice them? What if I lose my kick flips if I don't consistently practice them? So I've kind of ended up in this weird place where I've tried to put a little bit of structure into my session so that I can work on consistency, that I have reminders. These notes are basically reminders. Like, don't forget about 180s, don't forget about kick flips or heel flips or big spins, don't forget about varial flips, and don't forget about your shove-its, these types of things, so that or no complies. That's another trick that I really stopped working on until I put it on the list. So at the end of the day, I feel like I might be a lot less structured than I appear through video, but I do try to put a little bit of reins on the light skipping that my brain loves to do through different tricks, so that I can make sure I'm putting in a little bit of consistent work on a lot of the tricks that I enjoy, things like shove-its and ollies and kick flips, and also have a few new tricks that I'm consistently working on, so that I'll actually progress through them instead of trying 100 tricks over the next 6 months. As long as I'm working on these 3 tricks, I know that I will make progress with those 3 tricks, and then I get to play as much as I want to for the rest of the session. So it's really a lot more of a reminder to me than it is like a set and solid structured plan. I realized while editing this that I forgot one very important detail. The notebook, the thought, the plans, breaking the plans, having goals, skating for those goals, and forgetting them. It's fun. And I do think if I mastered a lot more tricks, I might be less inclined to put so much thought into it. I might just go out and kind of tinker with whatever comes to mind and play around the park a bit more. And don't get me wrong, I still have those days, but since there is just so much left to learn, I do feel best when I'm skating with notes to reference and goals like in the back of my mind. Because feeling that slow progress and taking little steps towards my goals, even if they take a long time, does bring me joy. And that's why it doesn't feel rigid to me. It just feels fun. And this video, honestly, is just a big ramble, and who knows what's going to happen to it. But I do hope that you're having a good day, and maybe I'll see you soon.